The stage is dark. A single spotlight clicks on. And this time, it's you standing there, ready to change everything. The first move into AI-based innovation isn't just a shift in sound. It's a signal. A signal that the old ways have reached their limits. One string can play a note. Plug it in, and it can move a stadium. That's the leap you're ready to make. From manual to electric. From limited to limitless. And Lumen has already built the network to carry it. 100G and 400G capacity for the surge. Automation as auto-tune to keep the performance smooth. Digital twin intelligence that sees ahead and reconfigures before disruption strikes. A network fabric designed for AI, multi-cloud, and scale on demand. The spotlight isn't waiting backstage, it's here. Center stage, under the lights. And with Lumen behind you, you're ready to play louder than ever.
Up next, we're excited to hear from Lumen's Vice President of Product Management, David Shacochis.
I believe the industry term for that is an interstitial, and that was a banger, I have to say. Hi, everybody. My name is Dave Shacochis. I am very fortunate to be the member of the product management team here at Lumen that gets to build a bridge between that vision that Dave Ward just laid out, our vision of a Cloud 2.0 future, and then a lot of the great detail we're going to be getting into this afternoon with the rest of our product management team inside all the different breakouts as we start to break down the near-term parts of our roadmap and what we're planning. But this is going to be a little bit of a longer-term view that hopefully stitches those two things together. So, a lot to get through. Let's begin. A great place to begin, as it usually is with the voice of our customer. It's always a great place to start. Our customers and their views and experiences have been central to shaping our priorities and what we're investing in and the way we execute. And through all these conversations, we're seeing these clear signs in the market get validated. First is this idea of growth in data and the way that customers are experimenting with AI, connecting all the different sources of data that are important to their enterprise. It's a big fuel to this surge in data center connectivity. And over the next few years, our customers are telling us that their data center interconnect, their cloud interconnect, is going to surge by over threefold. But what they're also telling us is that that surge in consumption, that surge in usage, that surge in cloud connectivity needs to be managed in the same way that they can manage all of the cloudified data center and software that they're connecting to. And so they're telling us, 8 and 10 of them, when we ask them to give us this feedback, they're saying, look, give me a single pane of glass. I need to be able to control my cloud network in the same way that I control all my cloud resources. And we're also seeing a shift in the way that customers think about sourcing and integrating the way they buy certain services and technologies. There's a huge growth in enterprises buying all sorts of software and hardware services and starting to include other value-added services from public hyperscale marketplaces and from other different sourcing portals. So making sure that whatever we're delivering to the market, whatever we're delivering to support this surge in connectivity can also tie into the places where customers want to source things, where they want to manage things, and how they want to configure that together. And so this is all driving the way our roadmap is planning out. So let's dive in a little bit to how we're prioritizing and bringing that to life. You've heard a lot about the 3 pillars to our strategy, and when we think about what needs to be true for those 3 pillars to be successful, there's really 10 main building blocks that spread out across each of these areas that we're going to get into in a little bit more detail. So the first pillar here is our physical network, really where cloud-first topology and ultra-high speed receive significant investment from Lumen, and I think you've heard a lot of examples about how that's taking place. As Dave talked about, Cloud 1.0 is more of a flat, wide area networking construct, where cloud was really more of an afterthought, sort of bolted onto that entire strategy. But what Cloud 2.0 and that age requires is a much more diverse range of networking venues, of hyperscaler on-ramps, of data center operators, and a lot of the neo-cloud players that are starting to build ultra-high density data center environments, as well as ultra-high density processing units and GPU farms to be able to add on to a much more complex hybrid cloud landscape that customers have ever really had to deal with before. It also requires the ability to scale, to handle, as Dave was talking about, that exabyte scale of data transfer, scaling to 400 gig and 800 gig and beyond, for all the different AI innovation vectors that customers and enterprises are starting to explore. They know they need data on more than just one cloud. The second pillar here is really our digital platform, and this sort of breaks out into two distinct levels of innovation here within Lumen. First, we're thinking about how customers engage with Lumen, how customers are looking for that design, price, order, and implement service capabilities at their fingertips with the ability to have granular control and being able to be sourced and activated from all the different delivery channels that matter to them. But customers also want composable services across the cloud connectivity, whether that's internet services or security services or private IP services, real-time communication, and all the different types of partner services that they can integrate there onto any singular network port. And so that for Lumen really means an exercise in disaggregating a lot of what used to be very siloed delivery services into a much more flexible model that allows customers to interact with their network, design and create new forms of bandwidth flexibility. And the third pillar is really around our connected ecosystem. We believe that by 2030, our customers won't just buy connectivity from Lumen, they're going to be buying solutions that optimize that underlay network with value-added technologies from a whole range of over-the-top partners. And that resulting co-selling and co-marketing motion is what we're going to break down even further here over the course of the next couple of days to talk about how we're innovating with partners and accelerating our innovation to not just be what Lumen can co-create, but what we can co-create with our friends. So that's those 10 building blocks that we're spacing out there. There's a lot to keep track of. There's a lot to do. And so we're laying out our roadmap really here in terms of a tech radar view that takes those 10 building blocks and captures some near-term and long-term deliverables across a number of time horizons. So it's like a radar, right? Where Lumen is at the center of that radar, the inner ring is the closest near-term time period, right? This is the next 12 to 15 months of Lumen's innovation. You're going to hear a lot more detail about what we're planning in that range in the breakout sessions. But as priorities and dependencies and as roadmaps evolve and shift and customer requirements start to shift and change, we know that as in some of these further out time horizons, that roadmap is going to get reprioritized, and we're going to be always keeping that sort of North Star view of what's the ultimate end goal inside each of these 10 building blocks. So what we're going to do next is break down this radar view across those 10 building blocks and across these 3 pillars to define what our strategic innovation is looking like across the physical network, the digital platform, and the connected ecosystem. So let's start off with the physical network and our roadmap there. Our first pillar is the physical, the backbone that lays the foundation for Lumen's growth. We're designing this cloud-first topology, and we're pushing high-speed connectivity to enable future-proof connectivity at any scale. But the core of this is that fabric port that Dave was mentioning before, introduced here now in the physical form as Project Berkeley. It's the port that enables customers to build multiple services on top digitally and multiplex those together on any user network interface. On top of this, we're expanding our reach into new data centers. We have a huge data center expansion plan going on as part of our network build, so incorporating new cloud on-ramps, AI on-ramps, as Dave mapped out in his section, really focusing on the new topology and the new footprint of Cloud 2.0. As our customers start continuing and migrating all these services to cloud, they're going to need more direct-to-cloud connectivity and on-ramps. So we have some more direct connectivity pathways that are on our roadmap as well. And we're committed to serve over 90% of the on-ramps in the US as part of our near-term product roadmap. We're also introducing some really interesting and powerful features across some of Lumen's core services that render the physical network under greater control for our customers, such as services like wavelengths. We're introducing some new automated wavelength design and coding pieces, and we'll have a little example of that over my shoulder, and we'll pop up a couple examples like this that illustrate how much of this roadmap is already ongoing, previewing some features and things like our ability to go and digitally purchase wavelength blocks via self-configured processes for site selection and payment terms and things like that. We want to unlock the ability for our wavelength customers to engineer low latency paths for specific use cases such as AI inferencing. We get a lot of interest in fast provisioning of wavelengths from our financial services customers as well. In the longer term, we want to move to even faster bandwidth. So as Dave is talking about, scaling to 800 gig and 1 tera and beyond. Secured with next-generation optical encryption for some of the advanced persistent threats that exist out there around encryption at the physical layer. So we're not just adding capacity here, we're taking our services and we're making them more programmable, resilient, and secure. So there's a lot more to cover here, and you're going to hear a great breakout of the infrastructure breakout later on this afternoon, led by TJ Dowhit and Todd Genieser. You're going to get into a lot of the details that's going on in our physical network investment. But the main takeaway, the net, that we're the backbone of Lumen growth, and the ability to go at the right topology and the right speed is the key of everything we're delivering here at the physical network. Shifting to our next pillar, it would be easy to start off at that physical layer and start saying, okay, layer 0, layer 1, layer 2, let's just climb the OSI stack. But there's an important timeout that we think about when we talk about our strategy, and that is all of the digital elements we need to add into our roadmap to be able to enable from a product agnostic standpoint, all the fundamental building blocks we need. I remember 80% of our customers are telling us we need to see this in a single pane of glass where everything's integrated together so we have full control of our network. And that's why we're converging everything into Lumen Connect. You may have known this in the past at Lumen as what we called our control center portal, but the Lumen Connect is the updated digital experience that customers can use to design, price, order, provision, and assure everything from one place. So some critical principles to Lumen Connect. It's going to be a redesigned API ecosystem to be more developer-friendly and consistent. But for those interactions that are going to be API-fed, we're integrating and making sure that those APIs are designed to work with all the different commercial channels, whether those are cloud marketplaces or tech distributors, or even in the future, some interactions from more agentic AI policies that are management tools that are taking action against the network based on their own defined policy. So customers can tap into Lumen Connect from whatever tools and whatever investments they're already making. And finally, it's a unified experience that can be rolled into a single pane of glass across different products and services. And I'm really excited and happy to show you a little bit of a preview about how Lumen Connect is going to start to change that experience. It's a converged user experience based on modern design that helps users quickly browse, compare solutions, select the right one for them, and give them a lot of powerful tools to track not only network performance, but also spending patterns. Right, so there's a lot of FinOps tools and FinOps capability that we're loading into Lumen Connect that allow our customers to take a look at some innovating commercial offers that we're planning, such as volumetric billing. Right, buy a terabyte of bandwidth anywhere across the Lumen network, and you can use that from a number of different services that, again, you can multiplex through your existing fabric port investments in all your locations. We also have some exciting features coming up around digital twins and taking all that telemetry to allow customers to simulate and test changes within Lumen Connect and roll those out to optimize performance and change management. But the net around Lumen Connect is that it's a key driver and one of the foundational building blocks for how our customers are going to interact with the Lumen platform from wherever they are on their tools landscape and on their user experience environment. So the product. So here's the rest of the product roadmap, right? We've talked a little bit about some of our physical infrastructure products, and there's a lot more that Lumen offers across a wide range of customer solution areas. Let's start off with connectivity. Our connectivity products are evolving and modernizing. They're becoming much more composable over that idea of a multiplex user network interface and a single fabric port. We're enabling frictionless activation across fabric connections at layer 2, and our emerging services like multi-cloud gateway at layer 3, which really allows customers to maximize their control over anything that they can reach across any fabric port, across any on-ramp, across any enterprise gateway. And customers are going to be able to scale those workloads across hybrid cloud designs that span premise, data center, and cloud. Now, of course, in the longer term, we're looking at models where customers can use and define their own enterprise on-ramp. So much like a cloud has a defined on-ramp pattern, we see enterprises starting to explore with the reemergence of an extranet pattern, where a private pool of bandwidth can be used for your supply chain, or a private pool of bandwidth can be used for a multi-party AI experimentation around a set of shared data that one company is bringing to bear, another company is bringing another ingredient to that data solution, and they want to share all that, but they don't want to throw it all over the public internet. They want to be using private exchanges and private extranets in order to fuel that innovation. So a lot going on in the connectivity space. We're also listening to our customers, and our customers are telling us when they see opportunities inside of Lumen Connect. We have a feature here, or an example over my shoulder. A recent feedback from one of our major Ethernet services customers wanted to take what they were already running inside ELAN, and they said, what would this look like inside Lumen Connect? We would really appreciate the ability to support dynamic Ethernet bandwidth changes and some self-provisioning capabilities, but we're already heavily invested in one of your existing products. We were able to go and modernize that product and launch it inside Lumen Connect for faster turnups and attachments to Fabric Port. Now, on top of the connectivity layer, actually, in the connectivity layer, there's a whole lot more to cover there. Chris Miro is going to lead a great breakout session delving into everything that's going on inside of our connectivity strategy, and I'll cover that customer solution area extremely well. We have other services in the portfolio here that we're adding in. On top of the connectivity layer, we're working on attached services like bare metal computing services and GPU clusters running inside the Lumen network at the edge. This is going to enable new inferencing patterns and workload designs where customers can optimize their layout inside of the Lumen network at closer to the edge and closer to digital interactions. Jeff Saraki is going to be leading an infrastructure breakout all around our edge computing portfolio, and that can be something for you all to look forward to and learn a little bit more about what we're playing there. Another area of our product roadmap is all around the real-time communications sector. And real-time communications is really powerful. It's one of the critical areas where Lumen has competitive advantage in terms of all the telephone numbers that we have in inventory, all the different capacity that we have on different types of voice and peering networks. And we're starting to introduce some really exciting features inside Lumen Cloud Communications. Right, this is our suite for on-demand voice control, and the example showing here where we're doing some telephone number assignment and telephone number porting and LOA workflow are really starting to become part of the Lumen Connect platform that drive longer-term feature benefits. We're also starting to build out a roadmap around unified communications and our contact center services and some of those real-time communication innovations, which is really where the enterprise is telling us that's one of the first killer workloads that they're starting to see in the AI space. How do I interact with my customers better? How do I drive better engagement with my clients? How do I automate that and keep that cost efficient? How do I do that with real-time communications? This is an early area where Lumen's network is tying that together. And so there's a great connectivity, there's a great communications breakout that Jamie Coates and John Edmonds are going to lead later on today. They're going to dive into this full roadmap in a lot of detail. And the final part of our product roadmap here is really around security. The Lumen Defender suite we have in place today can already detect coordinated attack behavior from some advanced persistent threats working across the internet. They can oftentimes identify those attack vectors at earlier stages before those threats are weaponized or even recognized by a lot of common endpoint tools. But that's all stemming from the threat intelligence that is mined from Lumen Black Lotus Labs threat intelligence. So that Defender suite will continue to evolve. We're doing some fun and interesting things inside of Lumen Defender over my shoulder there, where we're starting to take not only the proactive blocking policies that are inside of Lumen Defender, but then adding in agentic AI to support how customers can dive into the data and interrogate the data about what happened in that event. What was that attack? What was the bad actor? What geography were they coming from? These are more free text interrogations that you can take, and you can go start downloading all of the data that Lumen has within its Black Lotus Labs database and be able to share that with customers in much the same way that they would ordinarily do with a human SOC analyst. We're going to have that as an AI feature of Lumen Defender. A lot more exciting things that we're doing across the security portfolio, and there's a great breakout led by Susmita Nayak and Craig Dabrio that's going to cover the security roadmap in a lot more greater detail. But the net is that there's a lot of innovation that we're driving across everything inside of the core of our network. These are all going to be composable to our Fabric port, and they're all going to be controlled within Lumen Connect. And so the final point we'll touch on here, and the final point of our tech radar, is all the things that we're doing inside of the ecosystem. And you've heard that word a lot. Ecosystem is a bit of a pet peeve word of mine. I sometimes find people use ecosystem as just a cooler word for system. I think there's power in that biological metaphor. Right? An ecosystem exists when things surprise you. An ecosystem exists when things kind of cross-hatch and pollinate. And you never know maybe what's going to come out and what's going to grow out of an ecosystem, and you can be really thrilled and surprised at some of the growth. And so I think that biological metaphor is powerful because you need certain conditions for a biological ecosystem to grow. You need the right soil, you need the right water, you need the right nutrients. Lumen's creating the right conditions for a technology ecosystem to thrive with some of our validated configurations, an organized program that helps create service wrappers and define customer outcomes along the way. So we're looking at a range of different technology partners. You're going to hear a lot more about our strategy for not only building and fostering that Lumen validated design program and the technology ecosystem that we're building up consciously inside of our roadmap, but we're also going to, you're going to hear about that from Sean Alexander and Ethan Blodgett a little bit on day 2. You're also going to hear more from Ashley about how we're adapting our go-to-market and our co-selling motion as we start to work with different ecosystem partners that have built something that deeply integrated with the Lumen network and evolve that over time as we start to build that as a much more important and vital part of Lumen's innovation strategy, where we don't have to go and build everything. There's a lot that can emerge from our connected ecosystem to drive growth of our network in the future. So you've seen this diagram before, and this is the narrative arc, right? The narrative arc of our roadmap is really going to enable us to take a journey from where we are today to a future state where connectivity fabrics enable the future of AI innovation in the enterprise. At the physical layer, we're expanding topology or upgrading speed across key metro areas and key data center locations, all across this landscape of the evolving state of Cloud 2.0, achieving 400 gig connectivity and beyond. On the digital end, on the digital experience end, we're evolving from a simple online inventory view where we are today to true digital interaction, where customers can provision and purchase services on the Lumen platform and also through API integrated catalogs and hyperscaler marketplaces. In the product layer, we're progressing from configurable on-demand connectivity that we have today to some more innovative multi-cloud solutions and service fabrics with advanced programmability and routing control. What's powerful about this diagram is it starts to speak to individual pools of bandwidth that can be configured for customers. Well, whether you're running a multi-cloud workload that runs in a data cloud for the data layer, is running a specific type of GPU in a physical data center, you can create a multi-cloud multi-cloud application fabric to run that workload. You may be thinking about creating a backnet that's going to link together your corporate data center, that's going to link together your customer premise, that's going to link together all your cloud workloads and perhaps AWS, and you build yourself a data protection fabric for that pool of bandwidth that you can slice off and make available in those locations. And to the point we were making before around how customers are starting to think about really innovating with AI in the area of customer engagement and real-time communications. Those can be complex, but they're probably going to be best served by a private pool of bandwidth that can go and link your contact center personnel at your premise with the hosted contact center software, maybe powered by something like Genesis that's running in a colo, and then being able to tie into some of the inferencing services from speech recognition players like Twilio, or tie into CRM data that's running in the cloud with Salesforce. Doing that over a private network, an AI call center fabric, is sort of the value and the vision of what we would perceive there all across our product portfolio. So why don't we finish where we started, which is with our customers. And you're going to hear a lot more about this and this whole program we get from getting feedback from our customers, from Lori Garcia a little bit more tomorrow. But our customers are continuing to tell us that what we've started doing here, what we're building in terms of our overall strategy is really resonating for them. Nearly 7 in 10 leaders are telling us that their current networks cannot handle AI demands in the world of Cloud 2.0. When we paint this vision for them, they tell us that things need to change. And they all agree, 95% of them agree that AI-ready networks are going to be essential to the strategy that they're already planning. Multi-cloud is really already the vast default for our customers, and so enterprise teams want a simpler, more flexible cloud-based way to connect and manage it all. And that's exactly what our roadmap is delivering. The physical upgrades for topology and speed, the digital experience upgrades to provision through multiple channels, and that composable product layer that brings programmable multi-cloud networking and service fabrics together with a growing ecosystem of partners that benefit through Lumen validated designs over the top. So in short, customer demand is pulling us forward, and our roadmap is being designed to meet this moment. So you've heard a lot of exciting things today from around our technology point of view, but let me close here and we'll just summarize it up. First of all, we really believe that demand is real. Our voice of the customer and external research tells this consistent story. Enterprises are moving towards Cloud 2.0 and need an AI-ready network to get them there. And thank you to a lot of the analysts in this room as well who have helped us validate that strategy to be true, and we're excited to talk more with you about this over the course of the forum. Second, we're absolutely not starting from zero. We have a deep and a hard-earned network building experience that Kai talked a lot about that builds a backbone that very few can match, and we're upgrading that for the next decade to be able to react to and evolve with the changing shape of Cloud 2.0 and that overall footprint and topology. And finally, on top of all that foundation sits a pretty clear differentiated product strategy that converges our services into a common user experience with an API-first model that supports multi-cloud architecture, cloud distribution channels, and agentic tools. The demand is proven. We think the foundation here is really strong, and our commitment is certainly real. Lumen is playing to win with this product roadmap, And that's how we're going to become the trusted network for AI and the real enabler for Cloud 2.0. Thank you.